Welcome to the channel and welcome to this episode of the Sunday Sum Up. This is episode 10 and I took a week off last weekend. I've been really busy and to be honest with you, I just needed a break. Every weekend it seemed like there's always something coming up and I've always got to take care of some shit. And I just was feeling like I was going to cram another show into whenever time I could on the weekend. So I decided to take the weekend off, just relax. It was nice too. So I want to say happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. Shout out to Mama Normie. Thank you. I love you very much. And we're going to get into some of the news here. Not a lot, really, to be honest. I had a decent amount of things to talk about, but I kind of trimmed it down because I've wrapped up the Moon Knight series, which I want to talk about, and I'm up to date on the Halo TV series, so I got some thoughts on that one too. And then really there just hasn't been a whole lot of, I don't know, newsworthy shit in the film industry in Hollywood. No Ezra Miller terrorizing Hawaiians or anything like that. So, but I did want to talk about a couple of things. Kicking it off with Batwoman. Excuse me. Batwoman gets canceled. So this one I thought was kind of funny because I really think that this is a really low budget show, and I watched a review, an in-depth review called EFAP, and it stands for Every Frame and Pause. And I recommend if you haven't seen the show, or even if you have, and you want to go back and watch a review, I really enjoy that show. And they break it down. These guys break it down like, each scene, and it's a little, they're pretty critical of it and they're pretty hard on it, but I'm telling you, this show is just no good. It just isn't. I can tell by the promos from the first time that I saw the commercial when Ruby Rose was originally Batwoman. You could just tell it was going to be trash. You can tell it was just going to be agenda, and it was all about, the message. It was all about, beating down the patriarchy and all this other shit. So I really had no interest in it whatsoever. It actually lasted 3 seasons, so I'm surprised about that. Because to be honest with you, the ratings have not been good. So, I mean, I'm good for them for making it 3 seasons. I do think there are some issues going on with CW's parent company, and I don't know if it's Comcast. I don't remember if this article mentions it particularly, but I know that there's like some contracts going on or whatever with I can't think of the name. It might be Comcast, but regardless, their parent company, the CW, they're sort of dumping a lot of shows right now. They dumped DC Heroes of Tomorrow. I think it's called Heroes of Tomorrow or something like that. Legends of Tomorrow. That's what it was called. They already canceled Supergirl, and I don't know if Flash got canceled or not, but this was just kind of on the chopping block. Everyone knew it was coming. The ratings have been just crap. But the funny thing is I was reading this article, and this is an article on Screen Rant, and it's by Andy Bybocht, and I guess there's some billboards that are popping up that are hashtag Save Batwoman, and the lead actress, because Ruby Rose, like I said, she was played Batwoman in season 1, and then she walked. She actually got really hurt, I guess. From my understanding, the show, they've had problems, like safety issues. If I'm not mistaken, there was a stunt woman who was paralyzed. I think she was paralyzed, or for some reason I thought she died, but I think she was paralyzed. There was a really bad accident on set, and Ruby Rose, she got hurt doing a stunt or whatever, and there was photos of her on crutches, and she came out and took some major shots at the director, or the showrunners, I should say, in CW, talking about how she was being threatened if she didn't come back during her injury, like during her recovery, because I think she had to have surgery. So this show it's had a cloud over it for a while, and then on top of it, it's super fucking preachy. And when you watch the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just constant, like, putting down men. And every villain is a guy, and any woman that's a villain is they turn into some sympathetic character who was forced to be bad and just stupid shit. And it's just terrible acting. The CGI in the show is fucking terrible. But it finally got the rug pulled out from underneath of it. And I just wanted to point it out because, like I said, I was going to bump this off of some of the news, but I saw that Batwoman hashtag Save Batwoman. And the woman who's playing her or played her up until now, her name is Javicia Leslie. I think I'm saying that right. Javicia. And she posted a tweet here that says, "Oh my goodness, wow, this is so powerful." And it's someone took a picture of a billboard. It says hashtag Save Batwoman, stream seasons 1 through 3 on HBO Max. And then it says hashtag HBO Max Save Batwoman. So I don't know if that's a real movement. This kind of seems like a publicity type stunt because I think they had like, I want to say it was under 200,000 a week watching the show. I want to say it was less than that, but it was like low 200,000s, and that's terrible. It was what, 100 and, oh no, I'm sorry. It was like 340 million people in the country, and they were only grabbing about 200,000 people. Like, that's terrible. So, but it's good for CW to actually get rid of the shows that are bad. But again, I think this is only happening because of the shit that's going on above. So we'll see. We'll see what they're going to do. See if because I think The Flash is either over. I think it's done. But I actually watched season 1, 2, and 3 of The Flash. And then season 4, it was kind of one of those shows that steadily got worse over time. So season 1 I thought was really good. Season 2 I thought was good. And then season 3, it started to get really sort of, what the fuck's going on here? And then season 4, it just, like I said, it just sort of lost me completely. And I think I finished season 4, and I don't know if I even watched season 5, but I liked the season 1. I thought it was good. It's a cool origin story. So, all right, moving along to another superhero movie now. This one's having some problems. The Captain Marvel sequel is delayed to July 2023. And this is an article on, where was I at here? This was on Collider, and it's written by Matt Villey. It says the Marvel's release date pushed to July 2023. The film swaps places with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And it says Disney has announced a shakeup in the release order of Phase 4 for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As the release date of The Marvels, the sequel of the 2019's Captain Marvel, is being pushed back to July 28, 2023. So right there, they actually had to rebrand this movie because now this is sort of, I know this is just opinion, but I think this is what's going on. Brie Larson's just not fucking likable. She just isn't. She's a beating. Like, she likes to beat you over the head with her message. She loves taking shots, especially at guys. She loves to talk about how, the movie is a platform, and she's all about civil rights and all this other shit, but it's just so funny how, she thinks that like her message has always been like more women, and then on top of that, more African American women. And it's like, you're still Captain Marvel. If you want to be, if you're so trying to change the world, why don't you step down and let an African American woman take the role? But she's not about to do that. She's like any other fucking Hollywood elite. They love to talk. They love to talk about how open-minded they are, how progressive they are, how forward-thinking they are. But when it really comes down to it, it's all about that fucking money. So, and she's just really fucking annoying. She does the, it always cracks me up. She does the Nissan commercials. And it was funny because there was like a little hashtag Brisson that was going on. But it's so funny because in those commercials, she's very like, I don't know, she's very cool, and it's supposed to be like the real Brie Larson because she's in the commercials, she's playing herself. But if you've seen any clips of her YouTube channel or seen any clips of her like in interviews, she doesn't act like that. Like, that's not her real voice. She doesn't talk all like cool, and she's not all chilling. She's kind of annoying, and her voice is piercing sometimes. Even on the press tour for Endgame, there is some like infamous clips of her on like an interview panel with Chris Hemsworth and Don Cheadle. That's a really good one. Go look that one up. That shit is funny because you can just tell they do not like her. And then there's another one with her and Jeremy Renner, and Jeremy Renner is physically turning his back on her. and she is just trying to engage with him, and he just wants nothing to do with her. So there's been some talk that she's kind of a pain in the ass to work with. I'm not surprised. She's made some really cringe ass speeches. So I don't know. I just don't like, I think she's just a phony, just like every other fucking Hollywood actor or actress. Let's see. And they talk a little bit here about so the original release date of the Marvels. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say. That's what kind of got me started was they had to rebrand the movie. This was supposed to be Captain Marvel 2. This billion-dollar success story of Captain Marvel was supposed to be a sequel about Brie Larson and her story or whatever, or Captain Marvel's story. They had to drop that name, and they had to drop it to The Marvels. And now it says here, what's her name? They're supposed to be, it's picking up, it says the film will see her teaming up with Captain Marvel superfan Kamala Khan, aka Ms. Marvel, played by Iman Vellani. Sorry if I didn't say that right. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Vellani will make her debut in the MCU in Miss Marvel, which will begin premiering on Disney Plus on June 8th. That shit looks cringe as hell. And, this is one thing that I was, because, what's that movie? Doctor Strange. The, whatever it's called. Methods of Madness. I don't know what the hell it's called, but that just came out, and I have no interest in seeing it. I've been bitten by the bait and switch too many times, and from what I understand, Doctor Strange it's more of a Wanda Sykes story, and he's Doctor Strange is kind of in the background of his own movie, and I'm tired of it. It's just Disney, and there's this sort of like hashtag that's been going around, and I hear this a lot. I think it's funny, but they say, the MCU, and then, people are calling it the MCU because, and you can't dispute that. You can't say that that's not true. I mean, if you look at everything that's going on with Disney and Marvel right now, you have Thor: Love and Thunder, which is going to be She-Thor. There's supposed to be a She-Hulk that's coming out. You have Captain Marvel now, who I think they really wanted her to take the lead on sort of, take the role of like Captain America / Iron Man. And now that they're out of the movies or out of the MCU, I think they really wanted her to be the lead, and it's not going to work. No one likes her. And so I just think that, with Black Widow, you had Loki, where Loki just blatantly moved Loki aside for female Loki. I just finished watching, what's that show? Moon Knight. Same shit happened with that. Started off one way and ended a completely other way. You look at, what's the last one I was just thinking of? Dang it, what's it? The one with Hawkeye. Yeah, just Hawkeye. There it is. Yeah. That show was supposed to be a Hawkeye show, and it was just blatantly a Kate Bishop show. But they keep using prominent characters, male characters at that, and they keep pushing the female characters it's like they want to hand the baton off, but they're doing it in such a shitty way. And and I'm totally fine with having like a Lady Thor or a She-Hulk, or a Kate Bishop, but that's not the issue. The issue is it's done terribly. It's done with the old bait and switch, where they talk about or they promote a show for a specific character, and then you go and watch the show or you go and watch the movie and you find out that it has nothing to do with that character. It's all about this new character they're trying to force in there, and it's not working. They're not relying on writing. They're not relying on script writing and character building. They're trying their best to push in these female characters without any sort of buildup, and it sucks because, Wanda Maximoff, speaking about Doctor Strange, Wanda Maximoff was a good character already. She should have had her own movie before Brie Larson. Black Widow should have had her movie before Brie Larson, but they fucked that up. And now they're trying to like go back on it, and it's like, it's too late. You've already, when Captain Marvel came out, it was kind of like, if you were paying attention and you were reading the tea leaves, you could see what they were doing. And I think that Disney and what they're doing with Marvel, I don't think it has really any success right now. I don't think that the movies are doing near as good as they were. And I don't expect Doctor Strange to do shit. I really don't. I expect it to have a good weekend. It probably was number one, but there was no real movies that it was going up against. And I think that movie's just going to come and go. You know, I'm not going to go see it. I have no interest in it now that I know what it's about because I watched spoilers and it just sounds like trash. So, you know, it just, and to see them actually bump back, so they rebrand Captain Marvel 2 to The Marvels, and now they're moving her movie back and they're putting Ant-Man and the Wasp, again, another example of, you know, Ant-Man, the first movie it was about Ant-Man. And then the second movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was about the Wasp. I mean, really, it was. And Evangeline Lilly, I thought she was great. You know, she's gorgeous and she's a good actress and I like the character, but why don't you just make a Wasp movie? But they can't do that. They have to use the established characters that the fans, because the comic book fans are the ones who have kept these franchises alive for so long. They keep using these well-established characters, and then they keep shoehorning in these secondary characters. And when you think about it, you think about Ant-Man, you think about Captain America, you think about Iron Man, you think about Thor, Hulk. They have had a decade worth of content, movies, character building, story arcs, you know, victories and losses, and them making mistakes. And we've lived with these characters for a decade. That's a long fucking time. And then all of a sudden, bottom of the ninth, you know, the very last batter, they bring in Captain Marvel, you know, and then she comes into the story, and then it was like all of a sudden they ended all the prominent characters, and they're trying to hand off the baton. Well, it's too late. You needed to build those characters up, and they're just being lazy about it. They're trying to shoehorn in, and anybody like myself, and I'm just a normie, I'm not even a comic book reader. Anybody like me who says what I'm saying right now, they get labeled as some fucking chauvinist or, you know, someone who's, you know, woman hating and all this shit. It's like, don't even. Sorry, that's not going to work on me. You can say that shit all day, but I know me. My wife knows me. My daughter knows me. All the women in my life know me. I'm not a fucking chauvinist. And that's the type of shit that Disney and Marvel have been pulling basically since Captain Marvel. You know, that's what's been going on. So, but anyways, let's move along here. So that movie got bumped off for, I don't even remember the original. What was the original date? I think it said it in here. Oh, here it is. It says the original date was supposed to be February 17th of 2023, and then they pushed it back to July. So, yeah, it's not looking good. Let's see. Let's move along to the next story here. There's only a little bit here to talk about in terms of Hollywood stuff. Okay, so Fantastic Four director quits the film. This was a Hollywood Reporter article written by Ryan Parker. Let me see if I got that one. First of all, let me make sure my camera's still rolling, because I've made that mistake already. Let's see here. So this is director John Watts exits Marvel's Fantastic Four. Watts helmed the massively successful Spider-Man trilogy for Sony Pictures and Marvel Studio. Now, I think that the Tom Holland trilogy was a decent trilogy. I think obviously the third movie was, I think, the best one. I think the first movie was a good intro. There were a lot of things I didn't like about that movie that I still don't like to this day, but I still think that movie, the pacing was good. The action was good. The lightheartedness was there. I just didn't like the fact that it was like another origin story where we had to see Peter Parker in high school yet again. I'm just over that. I'm over origin stories, you know, especially like, why don't you save those origin stories for Black Widow or for Wanda Sykes? You know, like these new characters that they're really trying to push in there and really get going on their own. You know, this Kamala Khan, even, like the fucking trailers for that show look absolutely terrible to me. But they're just trying to push this character like right into this awesome superhero role. And it's like, what? Let's build these characters up. Let's, you know, gotta let it percolate a little bit. You gotta let them, you know, marinate and get going, and let the fans sort of build a rapport with them. And they just don't do that. They really don't. And in terms of Spider-Man, I thought they did a good job of that. You know, even though it was the same old shit, it was the same Peter's in high school and that old crap. It was still a good and fun introductory of his character. And then he, you know, obviously was in Civil War, and that was a good moment. I thought that was a big moment for his character. And I liked, what was the last one? Oh, Infinity War. You know, when he was in that one, I thought that was really good. I did not like Endgame. The more I watch Endgame, the more I've seen it a few times now, and the more I do, this cord's getting in my way. The more I do watch it, I just don't think Endgame ages well. I just don't. Like, the more I see it, I'm like, God, there's just so many fucking cringe moments in that movie, and Spider-Man was one of them. Him without his damn mask on, as per usual, and then him crying. That's like his thing. He always has he has one of those faces, like when they cry, it's like he's dropping a deuce, and he's got the big bulgy watering eyes and shit. Another actor who does that is like Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is a great actor. Well, I'd say he's really good, but he has, like, when he's doing a serious role, he does like, it's just as funny. And that's what I see when I see Tom Holland when he does his crying. But anyways, back to the story here. So John Watts will no longer be directing the upcoming Fantastic Four film. Watts, who helmed the massively successful Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Spider-Man No Way Home for Sony Pictures and Marvel Studios, has withdrawn from the Marvel Cinematic Universe project. Quote, making 3 Spider-Man films was an incredible and life-changing experience for me. I'm eternally grateful and have been a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for 7 years. I'm hopefully, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that, I said it wrong, reading it wrong. I'm hopeful we'll work together again, and I can't wait to see the amazing vision for Fantastic Four brought to life, Watts said in the statement to The Hollywood Reporter. There's a couple other quotes here from him. Let's see. So Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige and co-president Luis Desposito in a statement, quote, collaborating with John on the Spider-Man films has been a true pleasure. We were looking forward to continuing our work with him to bring the Fantastic Four into the MCU, but understand and are supportive of his reasons for stepping away. We are optimistic that we will have the opportunity to work together again at some point down the road. It was Feige who made the announcement that Watts would helm the Fantastic Four back in December 2020. I swear they had mentioned something else that I had read a couple of articles. Maybe it wasn't this article, but they made a point to say that it was a amicable exit. There was no beef. That he wasn't like angry with anybody. I will say this. Yes, it makes sense because it's not in this article. It's in a different one where he does say that he has been, he's been working on it for a long time and he just wants to take a break. And I get that. That makes sense. But the shit that Kevin Feige has been saying and just how he's going all in on the message and going all in with his political bullshit, I wouldn't be surprised if that's why this guy backed away. I'm not saying that's true. That's just my opinion. Just optically, Marvel doesn't have the panache that it had before. They keep handing the keys to the car to these rookie fucking liberal arts majors, fresh out of film school, and have no writing credits or no directing credits, and they keep getting the big directing roles and writing roles. And I mean, I think a lot of people would disagree with what I'm about to say, but I think there's more people that would agree with the fact that I think since Endgame, Marvel has been just shit. The quality has been trash. They have been batting just for like 8 right now. Because if you add up all the movies and you add up all of the TV shows or the Disney Plus shows since Endgame, they're not drawing the crowds. And it's so funny because Spider-Man No Way Home, that wasn't Disney. That was Sony with, they were obviously getting some money for that. I'm sure they had a piece of it, but Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man. So that wasn't even a Disney movie. And that movie was banging. Like in the box office, they made like something crazy. It was like $1.8 billion or something. So that's not even a Disney movie. Disney hasn't been hitting out the park with these billion-dollar movies anymore. And they made a very big point when they were on top and could do no wrong. Before Disney got their fucking hands on it and started trashing the IP, they were pretty much, it's a billion or bust. And, they were successful in that. I want to say it was, I don't know if they had it, I don't know if Disney owned Marvel before or after Infinity War. I want to say it was before. And then, obviously since then, those movies were shoo-in hits. There was no way that Infinity War and Endgame were going to do bad. It's just impossible. There was, they drew in all the normies like myself. And on top of that, you had all of the core fans, the fans that keep these IP afloat during the downtimes when it's not cool to be a nerd, when it's not, it's not mainstream anymore. It's the comic book fans and the book readers and buyers and the Comic-Con goers that go to actually go to panels and get autographs. They don't go there to like cosplay, and just look pretty for camera shots. Like the real comic fans, they are what keep the IP afloat when everyone else is not there, and Hollywood, they love to wring shit out like a towel. They just do. And I really think, I think that I think they're running out of steam, and nothing is too big to fail. Look at Star Wars, you look at Marvel, you look at what's going on with just Disney as a whole right now. I mean, just leave the political shit out of it. I'm just talking about the entertainment shit. They aren't banging like they used to be. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I think this phase 4 for me has just been trash. So, all right, let's move along here. So that pretty much wraps it up for the news. There were some other things, but I just took them off the list. I was like, whatever. There was nothing my opinion was very brief. Anyways, I did want to say something about the Fantastic Four. Let's go back to that for a second. I forgot about something. So the Fantastic Four, there was a reboot that was, who was it? It was like Miles Teller and a couple other guys. I can't remember the names. Anyways, that shit bombed. And, I know a couple of people who are, like in my life who are comic book readers, and Fantastic Four is like, one of the most coveted comic book runs in all of Marvel. And, with Wolverine and, Cyclops, Professor X and all the other stuff, this one, this movie, the Fantastic Four, they can't fuck this up. I don't think they have any room for mistakes. And I think that this guy, who I think is a good director, like he knows how to direct a movie. Do I think he's great at writing scripts? He's okay. There's definitely some major plot holes and luck of the draws in all of the Spider-Man movies that he did, but he definitely knows how to get what he needs to get from the actors. He knows how to get the good shots, the pretty shots, and the good action shots, and the choreography and stuff for the fights for the superheroes has always been good for his Spider-Man movies. And so I'm just curious, who are they going to get for the Fantastic Four? Because I don't, like I said, that's kind of what I was leading up to, all the stuff that I was just talking about with Disney. They can't fuck this up. They can't afford to have the trash that was the Fantastic Four, the last one that came out. I mean, that just sucked. So, and when you talk about, I think, what? I'm sorry. I totally got them mixed up. I was thinking X-Men for a second. I take that back. I am talking about Fantastic Four. Not X-Men, not Cyclops, not Wolverine. I'm thinking, I got them crossed in my brain. Fantastic Four is, Invisible Girl and, what's his name? Big rock guy. And then Reed Richards, who is Mr. Fantastic, or I think that's what he calls him, the rubber guy. They had Jessica Alba. God, who was the other actors? I can see their faces. Oh, what's his name? Who played Captain America? He played the Human Torch. Oh my God, what's his name? Now I gotta look it up. It's driving me nuts. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I get these IP. Like I said, I'm not the comic book guy, and I do get my franchises crossed up a lot. So I'm glad I caught it now, because I've done it before. I say that shit and then I catch it in post, and I'm like, fuck, I said the wrong thing. I got them mixed up. Let's see, Fantastic Four 2015, new. I think it was this one here. No. That was... Oh, who was it? Yes, Chris Evans. God, I could not think of the guy's name. So that was Ion Gruffud. Sorry, I know who this guy is. I don't know his name. And then Michael Chiklis, who got really famous from the show called The Wire. And then Jessica Alba was Sue Storm. She was the Invisible Girl. But yeah, Chris Evans was the name I was thinking of. He played Johnny Storm. That was the last time that Fantastic Four was on the radar. You know what I mean? So to have the Fantastic Four come out and, be a big turd, which was Who was that one? That other one was trash. That had, oh yeah, Miles Teller. That was his name. Miles Teller, Kate Mara, Michael B. Jordan. That's who it was. He played Johnny Storm. And then Jamie Bell, who was the Thing, who was the big rock guy. What a terrible cast. I mean, it really was. Like this whole cast I thought looked terrible. And then the movie itself, the previews looked like shit. So, but yeah, I think that Marvel and Disney, they have to get this one right. They can't fuck it up because they really need to get back into the business of making quality films and cut out this fucking political message bullshit because it's not going to work. So, all right, so let's move along here now that I've completely screwed up everything that I was talking about. I apologize for that. sometimes I'll say something and I don't know why, but I'm getting older now, and I'll say something and my mind will just jump to something. Like in my mind, I was thinking of X-Men. That was what I was thinking of. But no, Fantastic Four, it's like those wires just got crossed. I apologize for that. Okay, moving along here. I want to talk about the Halo TV series. Okay. This is fucking comical. This show is an absolute joke. I cannot believe. And Microsoft, again, I've got some other things to talk about with them, when we get into the gaming stuff, but I can't believe that they okayed this shit. I really cannot believe that they signed off on this, and I think the idea was, they wanted, having Halo, the show out, right after, or, shortly after the game launched last year, within like 6 months, have the show out to kind of keep that fervor and keep the name recognition going. Man, it's terrible. And so episode 7, which was the last one that I watched, I think that's what we're on. I'm going to look it up real quick. I actually forgot to write down what episode it was. So Halo. Let's see. This one was Inheritance. Yes, episode 7. Oh, wow. IMDb score 3.8. And it was very deserving. Look at this. Episode 6 was, it got an 8. Episode 5 was 8.3 stars. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's way too high. But right here, I didn't even see this. But yeah, episode 7. So this was a Quan-centric episode. And when the show started, I had a feeling this was happening. I mentioned it early on. And it's funny because, I do get some shit from my friends, and from my family even, where they'll say, well, you haven't seen it yet. Why are you criticizing it? You just saw a trailer. How could you say that? And it's because I've been paying attention, and, I've said this before, I'm not a consumer. I don't just consume what is in front of me, and I don't ask questions, even though that's what Hollywood wants, they want you just to fucking lap it up and ask for seconds, and I won't do that. And I am a discerning customer, and I pay for quality products, and I pay for products that have value to me and have value to my time and respect my time. And this show, and even though I know I said like it's not really worth watching, it's fucking funny. It's worth my time just to crack up, because I'm having fun watching the show. It's so fucking bad. It is. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. I don't understand what Microsoft is doing. But, when the show first started and we were introduced to this character, Quan, I kind of had the feeling that she was going to be the character that would be a driving force behind that creating the Master Chief moniker, the persona, this character, this very famous character, popular character for 20 years in the gaming industry, and again, I've said before, I am a gamer, but I had a feeling that's where we're going with this shit. And Master Chief is a joke. This is not Master Chief. I've already said that enough. But this episode in particular, this was a total Quan episode. She is not a good actress. This girl, her character name and her last name are the same. Yeah. She plays Quan Ha, and her real name is Yiren Ha. Sorry, no disrespect. Sorry, not sorry, but your acting sucks, girl. It's just not good, And, she seems to be the key to everything. We've learned that in this episode they have some sort of bullshit mystical moment where she goes and she drinks some peyote, and, she goes to see an all-woman tribe, which, obviously they have to be the ones with all the knowledge. and she drinks some peyote bullshit juice, and then she has some sort of crazy space, or I'm sorry, like trip, like she's tripping on acid or something, and she goes on some little journey in her head, and she has to fight Master Chief, and it's just, it's him, but it's, he doesn't speak to her or anything, and it's weird. And not only that, that's the only time we actually see Master Chief is in a vision that she has where she has to fight him. And when she wakes up from this long and stupid, just it drug on for so long. She wakes up, and one of the mystics or whatever are right there. And the first thing she says is, "I'm a protector." And like, that's it. Now we know that she is special, and they're trying to make it seem like there's this, she is the key to a portal that I believe is going to travel to the Halo. In the last episode, what was that one? What was that shit ass episode? That was called, so it was Inheritance, Solace. And in episode 6, it's the first time we get to see a Halo. And it was it was actually the one moment in the entire show that I was like, it was kind of like, wow, we finally get to see the Halo, and it was kind of a cool shot, but it really was kind of it was like a whatever. It was like it was like 30 seconds of cool out of hours of trash so far. And this episode, man, it's like the terrible CGI. It's some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. Like, legitimately, I've never seen CGI this bad, and especially with such a big, like, this is a big franchise, and it just seems like they don't care. It seems like they have no interest in quality at all. There's a scene where she's driving in like a side by side, and it's so funny. Like I said, I see vehicles in this show, and this is supposed to be way off in the future, and they drive fucking vehicles that we see. Like, you go to the desert, and she's driving the same fucking thing. It's just a side by side, and she's driving along, and I used to go to the desert when I was in SoCal, and we used to go out there, big groups, and I used to ride dirt bikes, and we had, some of my friends had buggies and trucks and stuff, and you get out there, and you can't just hop into a buggy without goggles. It's just not advisable, because stuff gets kicked up, you're flying around in a group, dust is flying everywhere. She's driving, and the vehicle is barely moving, and they show a shot of her from like above, and you can see the vehicles, like stepping over and everything, and the suspension's getting chewed up a little bit, and not a bad shot. But then they show her up close, and it's just chilling, like she's on a nice paved road, and there's like, it's not dust, it's more like mist, like smoke almost, like dust is not a real thing there. And then she drives a huge dust storm, is like just covers the whole horizon, and she drives right into it. No goggles, no rag over her mouth, nothing. She doesn't blink, she doesn't flinch, nothing. There's like, it's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. It's like no one in the editing room, or like the director, no one even thought to think like, we should probably put some goggles on her at least. We got to make it look somewhat realistic. No, they didn't. It was fucking terrible. It was so fucking terrible. Let's see, there was so the episode, like I said, it's a Quan centric episode. It's about her journey and making her special, making her the key to something. Obviously, she's going to be the one who's going to lead Master Chief to the Halo or some shit. But anyways, so she gets herself into a bind, and she's really fucking annoying. First of all, she's like petulant, and she's annoying, and she's like, I'll fight anybody, and she's really small, and that's again, I'm not trying to discriminate against people who are small. I'm not trying to discriminate against people who are short and don't weigh a lot of weight. But it does provide some questions as to why this little tiny person gets away with some of the physical shit that she gets away with, because she doesn't have superpowers. She's just a person. Anyways, so she has to go back to where it all began, where the season actually began, on the planet Madrigal, where you have it's like a what do you call it, like a water pump, but it looks more like an oil rig, like they're pumping for oil, but they're trying to get water out of the planet. And she gets there, and it's so funny because Soren, who is in this episode as well, he, for whatever reason, he is not there. All of a sudden, he's back in his home asteroid belt, which is so annoying. He lives in an asteroid belt, and he's hanging out with his lady, and he's hanging out with, having a party and everything. And then just a few scenes later, there's some shit that goes on with him. It's totally inconsequential. But then he's talking to his wife, and he says he needs to go back to save her. And it's so fucking stupid because he tells his wife that, she's annoying, but, oh, she's just, yeah, I gotta go help her. And it's like, you left her there to die. He even says as much. He tells his wife that she's probably dead, and he doesn't seem to give a shit. He just, he's like, whatever, she probably died. And, Master Chief brought Quan to him to protect her, and he promises to protect Quan. And he does a terrible job of it, leaves her on the planet to die. So then we cut to Quan. She's at the I don't know what you want to call it. It's like the mining. We'll just call it it's like a mining camp. So she's at the mining camp, and then Big Baddie, the stupid bad guy, shows up with his crew, and they surround her. And just out of nowhere, Soren just shows up. He just shows up out of nowhere, and it's so fucking dumb. And it's like time travel, or he just goes through space like that, like like nothing. And then on top of that, he tells her that he made John a promise to protect her, and that's what he's going to do. And it was like, you fucking left her there to die. Like, you just didn't care, and now you do. It was supposed to be some sort of redemption for him to like come back and be the good guy, and it was so stupid. And then they had this big like luck of the draw where it's them two versus about 50 guys, and he gets to be a badass. There's a couple of little cool shots of him being, he's got a gun, looks like it came from Destiny. He looks like he's got like the last word. If you're a Destiny fan, you know what I'm talking about. He's got a gun that looks like the last word, or, something along those lines, like a Destiny gun. And he gets to have his moments. Boom, boom, boom. He's popping guys out with one shot. But the fucking action sequence was just trash. They're just fucking trash. You have guys who can't hit him for shit. They don't fire until he looks at them. It's just so stupid. Terrible choreography. And then you have Quan, who's like running around, just dodging everything. And every time she stops and like is pinned down, like one moment she finds a grenade, and she sticks it to a guy, and then he blows up. And then next time she's trapped, boom, there's a Covenant rifle right there. And she gets the rifle, and she just grabs it and uses it like it's hers. And she fires a rifle at this at the foundry. It's some sort of gas, whatever, that they had turned on, and then blows up the whole thing, kills everybody, which was so fucking dumb because they were right next to where this gas line or this pipe that's going to blow up and blow the entire thing to pieces. And the plan was they're going to blow up everything and kill those guys, and they're going to hide in this vault. Well, this vault is just a door. I mean, it's all it is. It's just literally like it doesn't look like a vault. It just looks like, two double doors from metal. They don't look like super impervious like a safe or anything. They have vents and stuff so you can see through. So it's not like you can hide from fire, especially on that level. But no, she shoots it. It blows up, and we see it just fucking, it engulfs everyone. But they have plenty of time to run, dive into the vault, close the door. The flames actually go into the room, but they don't touch them. And then the whole fucking base is just smithereens. Just everything just gets blown to shit, and all the bad guys get killed. So fucking stupid. Oh my god, so dumb. And something another thing too is I forgot about the other sort of bad person. Like, she's a human that's with the Covenant. I cannot help. I gotta say this. If they ever do a Hillary Clinton like movie of her, like, young Hillary, that's what this chick looks like. She looks like fucking Hillary Clinton 40 years ago. Like, no shit. Like, just look at a picture of her. It's fucking hysterical. And she's a terrible villain. So, but yeah, that was it. And we never even got to see Master Chief. Not one time. So it's just, this show is just cracking me up. I love it. I really do. I've always been a fan of, like, sort of cheesy sci-fi and B movies, from back in the day. they always just, I don't know, if they can tell a good story. This isn't telling a good story, but man, it's fun to watch, having lots of laughs. But definitely, I don't think it's worth your time. So, all right, let's move along here to Moon Knight. And I have a lot of stuff here, but I'm actually going to burn through this kind of quick because I didn't expect to spend that much time on Halo. I only have a few notes for Halo, but I just had a lot to say. But look, Moon Knight, honestly, the show started off good to me. I thought episode 1 was a good episode. It wasn't great, but I thought Oscar Isaac, I think he's a great actor. I think he did well, acting as this character Steven. I enjoyed the character Steven. I thought it was funny, and I was, totally fine with it. There was some plot conveniences and some lucky shit that was happening to sort of move the story along. But overall, I thought Oscar Isaac was doing a good job. And then since episode 1, it has just been it's just like, I can see what you're doing. And when I saw his other personality, Mark, who is married to a woman named Layla, I just knew what they were doing. And it's, like I said, it's predictable as shit. It's predictable shit that anyone could see coming. Layla is the hero. It's a Moon Knight fucking show, and we never really get to see Moon Knight. We really don't. Like, in the first episode, we got to see him right at the end, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. His costume looked kind of cool. He's a badass. He looks neat. It's different. It looks kind of like a mummy almost. But yeah, I was like, this is cool. I'm in. No, that was really it. We really don't see him that much anymore. And they even strip him of his powers for I think it was like the 5th episode or whatever. And no shit, like the episode 5 and 6, it's only 6 episodes. It's just, she just saves them the whole time. Layla saves Steven. Layla saves Mark, and Mark's like a trained badass. Then she saves Moon Knight, and then she saves what's the other? Like, Steven has his own version of Moon Knight, so it's kind of goofy, kind of funny. And I actually thought it was funny at first, but then it was like, okay, this is getting kind of annoying. She turns into an actual superhero. Now, I am going to say this. So, I don't mention a lot of other channels because, I don't know, I always feel weird doing that, but I am going to give a shout out to a guy named Nerdrotic. Go check out his video. His review of Moon Knight encapsulates exactly it's a good review. It's a good video. I really like this video. So go check out Nerdrotic's review. He sums up everything nice and tight, and really and as someone who he's a actual nerd who knows about the character, he talks about things that I actually didn't know. So I guess Layla's character that she plays, I forgot the names, like something Scarab or whatever. They gender swapped that character because in the comics that's a male character, but then Layla becomes him, so they make the Scarab a female character. She saves everybody. Like, she literally is the main hero. And there is some fucking cringe ass line where they're fighting, and it's Moon Knight and the Scarab, whatever her character is, I don't give a shit. They're fighting against the bad guy, fighting together, and then this van full of people gets like flipped over, and then this little girl is about to get smashed, and so she swoops in and saves her and gets her out of the way. And the little girl, she says, and I don't know what language she's speaking, I'm assuming it's like Egyptian, whatever, I don't know, whatever. She's like, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And Layla's like, "I am." And then she fucking gets back into the fight. Holy shit, dude. Normie wife, like, I could hear her fucking eyes rolling behind me because she was behind me in her chair and I was in my chair watching it. And she laughed. She was like, "What the fuck is this?" And, her and I, the whole time, I was laughing. She's laughing. We were just sort of talking over it like Mystery Science Theater 3000, just sort of, making little quips and shit because it was a joke. It is a fucking joke. And they made the show about Layla. Like, really, Mark or Moon Knight gets taken out of the show for a minute, for a long period of time, and she saves him multiple times. And it's just terrible. It's terrible writing, and it's so fucking on the nose what they're doing. No big surprise. They did the same thing with Loki. They did the same thing with Hawkeye. What I'm hearing from Doctor Strange, same shit. I'm telling you, this can't go on forever, Disney. And at some point, this rooster's going to come home to roost. And I just don't see how they can maintain this. I really don't. I don't know what the plan is. They can't keep maintaining this level of trash and expect people to show up in the theaters. I just don't see it happening. So, but yeah, it's really it's stupid. I thought it was a dumb show. Started off pretty good. I thought it was okay in the beginning. I was actually excited for it. Character I've never heard of. As a normie, I was like, hey, this guy looks fucking cool. His backstory I got from a friend of mine. Or a coworker of mine, I should say, and he tells me some backstory. It sounded good, and just went right down checked all the boxes that Marvel is doing right now and Disney's doing right now. Trash. So, all right, that's gonna wrap it up for Hollywood. Let's move along to some gaming news here. So let's talk about this first one. Is The Last of Us remake coming this year? So this is a Video Games Chronicle article by Tim Ivan, and let me pull this up. So let's see here. So this says The Last of Us PS5 remake is, quote, nearly finished and could release in 2022, it's claimed. Let's see. It says a PlayStation 5 remake of the original The Last of Us game is nearing completion and could be released in the second half of 2022. That's according to industry insider Tom Henderson, who claims match information VGC has received via our own sources. Quote, heard from multiple people now that The Last of Us remake is nearly finished and could release during the latter half of 2022. This was in a tweet. While the project has not been officially announced by Sony, Bloomberg reported last April that a remake of the 2013 PS3 game was in the works for PS5. Let me see here. Gotta wet the whistle. It claimed that the project was originally in development at PlayStation Visual Arts Service Group before the studio was switched to a support role in the game. The remake's development is now reportedly being led by series creator Naughty Dog, which is said to have taken charge of the project following the completion of The Last of Us Part 2, which was released in June 2020. During Sony's CES 2022 conference this week, Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann said the studio was, quote, dying to share, quote, end quote, with fans the multiple game projects it is working on. So, this one, whatever. I'm not a fan of this. I think Naughty Dog needs to fucking move along to something else. If you think about what Naughty Dog has done since basically the PS3 era, so this is the third generation where they have been sort of one of the leading prominent studios that Sony has in its stable. They've done Uncharted and The Last of Us and nothing else. And that's so. Do you think? I think the PlayStation 3 was lasted for 8 years, and then the PlayStation 4 lasted for another 7. Now we're through a year and a half into, so we're at 15, 16 years, 16 plus years, and they've only handled these two IP, and they've sort of. And I'm a huge fan of Uncharted. I really like Uncharted. I thought it was a great sequel. I thought Part 4 was a technical marvel, but I didn't think the story was that strong. There were parts of the story that I really, really loved that I thought were just absolutely great. There were some parts I thought were kind of annoying. And The Last of Us, as I mentioned before, the first one, fantastic, masterpiece in my opinion. Last of Us 2, haven't touched it for more than one reason than just, the crap that I heard about the game. I didn't like the way Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog handled The Last of Us, the reviews, the lockdown that they had on that. They were giving copyright strikes or some shit like that with YouTube creators. They were and the strict rules that they had for the reviews of the game, making reviewers, basically say they can't talk about the part of the game that they knew that fans were not going to like, fans like myself. So yeah, I've watched plenty of reviews on it. I know what happens in the game, and I just thought it's just stupid. It's just more stupid crap. And I think Neil Druckmann's, I think he's a douche. He mouths off to the fans. I hate that shit. I can't stand it whenever fans don't like what creators make. It's the fans' fault. There's something wrong with them, and they never sort of have that internal, conversation where it's well, maybe I should just, say, sorry, it didn't work out for you guys. Thank you for playing the game. See you at the next game. Something that simple would go a long way, but they don't want to do that. They never do. But I think there's this talk that they're doing a Last of Us multiplayer only game called Factions. So The Last of Us 1 had a multiplayer mode that was actually really fucking good. Really underrated, flew under the radar. I thought I really didn't want to play it. I played through the campaign and I loved it. And no one I knew was playing the multiplayer. So I was like, I'm good. And then sometime later, one of my friends on my PlayStation friends, he was like, "Hey, let's go play some Last of Us. You ever played the multiplayer?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "Oh, you got to play it." Like, okay. I got in there and I was like, "Wow, this is really cool." It was a totally different take on multiplayer for me, anyways. I really liked it. It was difficult. The learning curve was kind of stiff, but once you got the hang of shit, then it was really intense and exciting. Some of the best multiplayer moments that, in any sort of shooter multiplayer were in that game for me. There was some really good highs in that game. So I'm okay with this. I'm okay with them coming out with a Last of Us 2 multiplayer mode and just going all in. What I'm worried about, though, is because Sony has talked about they really want to get into games of service. They really want to stick, they want to really get into that multiplayer, Call of Duty style, Fortnite, where you just have seasons and battle passes and that type of shit. They've said that they want to do that, and that's fine. Whatever. They don't have most of their games revolve around open world, single player, RPG style, action style games. So that's fine. I think it's good for them to expand their portfolio, 100%. I'm just worried that this is just going to turn into some sort of another fucking like Fortnite style, And I think that I hope that they can make, if it is, I'm not saying it is, if it is like the Last of Us multiplayer, I hope they don't fuck it up, because I want it to be good. Because like I said, that's a multiplayer game that I will totally jump back in on. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But it sounds to me like they're going to stick with, and again, having another remaster, and that's another point I forgot to make. So The Last of Us 1 came out on PS3 right at the end of the generation, and it really was something to behold. Graphically, it was amazing. It was beautiful. The sound design, the story, the combat, everything about that game I thought was just well done. Even the combat was a little bit rough. It felt like it was supposed to be, because it wasn't trying to be this sort of Call of Duty-esque Battlefield type Apex Legend Fortnite. It was meant to be hard. You were limited on ammo, and it wasn't always smart just to go in and guns blazing, because you'd run out of bullets and then you're fucked. So I really thought that The Last of Us was something special. Then they remastered it for PS4. They bumped it up to like 60 frames. It was better, absolutely. But okay, that's cool. That's fine. And it was right at the end of the PS3, so making one for the PS4 or making a remaster for it made sense. For them to go back and do it again for the next system, for the PS5, I think they're grasping at straws, and I think it's a cheap win. I'm sorry, it's not even cheap. It's lazy. That's what it is. It's fucking lazy. So I'm not looking forward to this, because yes, I think it's a great game. It's, and maybe I might play it again, maybe, but I don't really want to go back and play it again. I've played it once. I'm good. I don't need to go back and play it all over again just to see it again, because I bought it the second time. I bought the upgrade and played it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Looks good. And it was fun, but to do it again, I just think it's fucking lazy. So I'm wondering if this is a Last of Us remastered / Last of Us 2 multiplayer type thing. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not super stoked about this one. I didn't think it was. This to me was kind of like, once again, another fucking remake. Because I've said this before, I'm tired of remasters, remakes. I think creatively, with all of the PC culture and the fucking message that's being just pounded into all of entertainment right now, I think that creators, writers, directors, I think they have painted themselves into a corner, and I think that they are absolutely struggling with new IP because they can't push any boundaries right now. Everything has to be confined to bend the knee to so many different groups on Twitter that they don't want to push any limits, and or they're part of the Twitter mob too. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. This one didn't really do much for me. I'm excited for the multiplayer, but the remaster for Last of Us all over again, meh. Move along. All right. Next up, is Xbox and PlayStation getting advertising in their games? So this is a Verge article written by Emma Roth and another article by Miyasato. Let's see if we can pull that one up. This was bullshit, and I'm not happy about this one. So this is two articles. I'm not going to read them both. I'm just going to read some of the headlines here. Microsoft reportedly wants to bring ads to free-to-play Xbox games. The other article, Sony reportedly plans to put ads in PlayStation games. So according to reports, both Sony and Microsoft plan to introduce ads. Sony is reportedly working to bring advertisements to free-to-play PlayStation games. According to a report by Insider, the ads would appear in games and are meant to give game developers a way to monetize their work and encourage them to continue building free-to-play games. Fuck off. Fuck that. That right there, a way to monetize their work. You're getting paid handsomely to make these games. And I've said this before, games are one of the, if not, I think they are the biggest medium right now. They kick the shit out of Hollywood on an annual basis on how much money they make on the sales of their games. They make plenty, okay? These games make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. I just, and then to sort of throw it out there like that, like it's another way for developers to monetize their work. Fuck that. That's bullshit. It's just a cheap way of saying we need to milk this somehow. And especially when they talk about free-to-play games, this ain't fucking Candy Crush. Okay, I'm not happy about that. I don't want to see games with that shit. Now, I will say this: I think there is some spaces for the advertising, but I know where it goes. I know where we're going with this. So no, my answer is no. I don't think it should be in there. And let me talk about a little more here. It says the in-game ads are expected to launch by the end of the year and would appear in inconspicuous places within the game. Sorry, I'm not a good reader. I think that says inconspicuous. Within the game. Inconspicuous. Sorry about that. Inconspicuous. I'm just going to say that from now on. So inconspicuous places within the game, like billboards. Players could also get rewards for watching advertisements, and the ads would be sold through a private marketplace. Insider reports. Sources told Insider that Sony hasn't yet decided if it would take a portion of ad revenue, but it is considering having developers and publishers pay for consumer data. That's bullshit right there. Yeah. So right there, pay for consumer data. Big brother telling you. That's why whenever they say like, would you like us? Can we monitor your game so that we can get your feedback? They're monitoring anyways. Like that's a fake, gate, for them to like say like, well, we won't monitor your game if you don't want us to. Bullshit. They're monitoring everything, monitoring your phones, monitoring everything. So just fucking learn to live with that shit. Sony did not immediately respond for comments. Let's see here. And then reports of Sony's plans follow news last week that Microsoft was reportedly planning on doing something similar to free-to-play Xbox games. Also reported by Insider, ads in free-to-play Xbox games are expected to roll out later this year, and Microsoft doesn't plan to take a cut of revenue, sources told Insider. Oh, you're so special, Microsoft. You're not going to take a cut of it. Yeah, bullshit. This is such bullshit. And I think that this just leads to, it's no different than what I talked about, with Sony trying to compete with Xbox Game Pass, them buying up studios, two corporations owning everything. It's not a good idea, people. And this right here these are the types of corporate decisions that the heads of these companies, like I said, when I first reported on it, I didn't report because I'm not a reporter. When I first talked about it on one of these videos of mine, where I was talking about how Sony was buying up studios and Microsoft is buying up studios, and then there was sort of this arms race for IP. I didn't agree with it then, and I didn't agree with it, and I still don't agree with it. And on top of that, with the PlayStation doing the competition for the streaming service, they're trying to be Netflix, they're trying to be Amazon. That's what they're going with this, and these are the decisions that I was talking about when at the top of these two corporations, when they make a decision, because you know, they both know that they're doing it together. They both know. Not one of them. The other one isn't being like, well, we're not going to do that because that's not consumer friendly or customer friendly. They're not doing that. They're both going to do this shit because they both have a plan, and it's the same plan. When they make these decisions, it's going to filter down to all of the fucking IP that they are purchasing. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I had a problem with these two corporations vacuuming up everything in sight, because this is just one fucking decision, just one, and it's a terrible one. Having ads in games, there is a place that I think they could be. You think of a game like FIFA. When you watch any sort of, sporting event, NFL, MLB, FIFA, the World Cup, I think that's coming up this year. I'm not a big soccer fan, so I don't know. There's a lot of eyes on the screen. Super Bowl, a lot of eyes are on the screen. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sporting event watched in the United States. Ads and commercials for Super Bowl are ridiculously priced. The corporations are paying millions of dollars for a 30-second slot. And it's by design that Sony and Microsoft are doing this, because they know that if they can make it sound like, well, it'll be inconspicuous or inconspicuous, they know that if they can say it will be on like a billboard that you drive by, or like a billboard in the game, like you're playing NBA 2K, and they have the billboards in the back, and they might show like the jumbotron, and what is it going to say, like Papa John's Pizza, or it's going to say fucking Pepsi or Coca-Cola or Nike, Adidas, or whatever, some bullshit. It will never end there. You never ever give into shit like this. Never bend the knee, never get in, because corporations do not know how to stop. They just don't. They don't know how to stop until we turn off the money faucet. And the problem with it is it always begins like this. It begins harmless. It begins like, it's not a big deal. What's the big deal? What's the big deal with x-ray scanners at airports? What's the big deal with the TSA? You know what I mean? It always starts with that. And it's like, now look where we are, and this is what's going to happen. Before long, I guarantee you, there will be commercials in games. They will try to force a commercial. And I swear I read that on, was it Microsoft's? I thought I saw they were talking about paying people for, what was it? Oh man, I forgot what it was. I know it was in one of these articles. When I read it, I was like, you gotta be shitting me. But they're talking about giving you in-game rewards for watching ads. What the fuck are we doing here, people? Like, what the fuck? I can't get behind this type of shit, man. And I just think, I hope more people will wise up and say no to this shit, because this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea through and through. There is no just a little bit. There is no just the tip. There isn't. That's not how it's going to happen. Okay. Never does. Never ends that way. So I'm not happy about this. It sucks. I'm kind of bummed. And once it starts, it will never stop. So, and like I said, I play PlayStation. That's the ecosystem I like. Fuck Sony for doing this. Fuck them. It's just stupid. It sucks, and it's like, and the shitty thing is, like I said, they buy up all of these games. They vacuum up all the IP. They can then that means that corporate decision will it'll be just widespread in all the industry. So, oh well. All right, let's move along here. So, Nintendo's got some labor complaints. This was an Axios article written by Stephen Totillo. I think that's how you say his name. Let's see here. So this one was kind of surprising. I mean, I from when I read this article, and I was like, it sounds like this isn't the first time. It's the first time I've actually heard this. So it says Nintendo hit with labor complaint. Excuse me. Gotta wet that whistle. So, an unnamed worker is alleging that Nintendo and a firm it uses for hiring contractors violated their legally protected right to unionize, according to a new filing with the National Labor Relations Board. The NLRB complaint filed on Friday brings one of the game's most successful companies into the increasingly active conversation about workers' rights in the sector. The allegations state that Nintendo of America and global hiring firm Aston Carter engaged in, quote, concerted activities, end quote, and made coercive coercive actions against a worker, interfering with their legally protected right to organize. The exact claim of what happened are the exact claims of what happened are unclear because the publicly posted docket for the complaint lists broad charges but doesn't describe what is said to have occurred. But it does indicate that allegations were likely to include claims of surveillance, threats, retaliation, and either layoff or refusal to hire. Nintendo of America, which is based in Redmond, Washington, is a division of the Kyoto-based gaming giant. The NLRB complaint was filed in Washington state. While Nintendo is well known, Aston Carter is a less visible player in the gaming industry. Online job listings show it as recruited customer service and administrative contractors for Nintendo. Neither company responded to a request for comment by the press. So this is, like I said, I've never really heard this about Nintendo, but this sucks, and it doesn't look good for Nintendo. But here's the thing. Nintendo does a really, really fantastic job of either burying stories like this or just not being visible. They're a very private company. They march to their own drumbeat. They don't follow other companies. They don't do what Sony's doing. They don't do what Microsoft's doing. They don't care. They're very much, I would say, trendsetters in a lot of ways. And I think they've had some fantastic impacts on gaming as a whole, but they've insulated themselves where everything that is on their platform, it is filtered to the max. The games that they make that are, the big sellers, Breath of the Wild, which is Zelda, any Mario game, Luigi, Kirby, that game just came out. I've been meaning to pick that one up too. I'm trying to think of Mario, like Mario Kart was another one. I'm trying to think of another big franchise that they have, Metroid. These games are, number one, they have a very high standard for quality. Typically when a game comes out that's a Nintendo company, they fucking finish that game. That's one thing that Sony and Microsoft wish they could do. They just they may have a few games here and there that come out that are 100% complete, but man, it's fucking rare. Nintendo shit comes out, it's fucking done. And they do so much in-house, and they're a foreign company, so I think that they have done a great job of sort of keeping themselves out of the mainstream media in any sort of negative light. Usually the stories are just like, oh, fucking Pokemon Go sells millions of copies and has 1 billion people playing it congruently. So it's usually all good news when it comes to Nintendo. So this one surprised me. Like when I saw this and I was like, oh shit, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that a corporation would treat employees like shit because that's what corporations do. I'm just kind of surprised it's Nintendo, but it's like Nintendo is like that quiet mobster. Like if they have enough cash and enough pull in the industry that they can bury some leads. Like I'll just leave it at that. I mean, I haven't heard. I'm not talking from like experience or like I know they're doing this shit. You just don't really hear negative shit about Nintendo. You really don't. So this one surprised me, and it doesn't look good. But no corporation is going to tolerate any sort of talk of union talk. They're going to stamp that out real quick. And Nintendo, they're no different than any other corporation. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm keeping an eye on it. Okay, moving along here. So Rockstar bends the knee to the Alphabet Gang. This is GameIndustry.biz, written by Jeffrey Russo. Let's see here. So this one's going to be controversial, and I've got to talk on this one. This is I usually avoid these type of topics, but fuck it. Rockstar has edited transphobic elements in GTA 5 re-release update. Outmaking Games confirms changes following its campaign to have offensive content removed. It says a Twitter thread from Christy Cloud, admin on GTA Net. They wrote that kind of weird. A Grand Theft Auto community site reported on the changes made. Some of the changes include the removal of some trans NPCs in an advert inside of a store that originally featured, quote, interchangeable, quote, genitalia. Yeah, I don't know. That's the first time I ever fucking heard of that. And I played the game. I played a lot of it. Cloud also said the harmful dialogue directed to characters from the protagonist had been removed. Cloud notes that the changes could have been made following the plea from UK-based LGBTQ plus game professional group Out Making Games. So, excuse me, the group is called Out Making Games. So that's the name of their group. In 2021, the collective called on Rockstar to remove the transphobic stereotypes and jokes prior to the GTA 5 re-release on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Update on April 19th, Outmaking Games has confirmed that Rockstar made the changes. Quote, last year we wrote an open letter to Rockstar calling to them to remove transphobic content from GTA 5's next-gen release. The body said in a tweet, we're thrilled to say that they have. Thank you to everyone at Rockstar who prioritized this issue. Fuck this. I'm not on board with this, okay? And this is why. I don't think that any organization should have that sort of power that, because this is what's going on. These types of groups, and like this, what's it called, out making games. You know, they have an agenda. They have something that they want to achieve, and how a lot of these types of things come about, it's usually by force, and I think that's bullshit. I don't think that anybody should have to conform to anyone else by force in any way, shape, or form. And force doesn't always necessarily have to mean by, bare hand, brute strength, hurting someone physically. It could be, threatening to lose their job, to lose their livelihood, to, have them, be followed and protest and harassed and shit like that. Because that type of shit has happened and it does get physical. From all types of groups, any sort of group that sort of pressures like that. I'm not for that. I'm just not. And I think that, especially with GTA, it's a satirical game that makes fun of every American social issue, and whether it's political, whether it's social, economical. That's what GTA is. And like I said before, when you bend the knee one time, you will never ever stop. Never. And these types of things they're censorship. It's telling people what they can and cannot, the jokes they can and can't make. And, comedy right now is just, they're taking hits left and right, and it's getting crazy. It's to the point now where it's like, oh, well, if a joke bothers you, you can fucking run on stage and tackle the comedian. That just happened to Dave Chappelle, and which fucking bullshit. Now, like, that guy got fucking lumped up. I saw some pictures of that guy after that ass beating he took. So, yeah, he got what he got what he got. You go attack somebody, security, and they're going to get you, and it's just, here's the thing. It's like, GTA has a lot of comedic elements to it, and it's very satirical. Everything about it is like over the top satire. And that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it charming, because it's so overblown that it makes it funny, And when you have people who come out and say, well, that's not funny to me, you got to remove it. That never stops. It will never, ever, ever be satiated, because in the end, the goal is to control that game, or control that comedian, or control that medium in general. And the whole point is to control it, and then to make it conform to what you want it to be. And that removes all artistic creativity that, game developers and writers and movie directors and comedians and, music, musicians and things like that. When you start conforming and bending the knee, you'll never get off. You'll spend your life on your knees. And I just don't support this type of shit. I really don't. I don't mind them speaking out at all. At all. I don't mind them protesting it. I don't mind them, saying whatever they want to say. They have the right to their opinion. 1000%. Everyone does. But when you start pressuring companies to bend, or pressuring people to bend, I will never support that. I will never support it at all. I'll never do it. So I think it's bullshit. And I think, like I said, you give an inch, it used to be like, oh, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. No, you give them an inch, they will never stop taking. They'll never stop. It never will. And that's been proven over and over. It never ends. Look where we are right now. Just fucking, there's no end in sight. All right, so let's move along to the next story here. Square Enix sells off IP to Embracer Group for 300 million. This is a Eurogame article written by Wesley Yinpool. Let's pull this one up. All right. So this one, I thought, this is crazy kind of. This, I mean, in the gaming space, this is kind of a big deal. So Square Enix sells off Western Studios and IP, including Tomb Raider and Deus Ex, to Embracer Group for just $300 million. That's a fucking steal. That is a steal. Square Enix has sold off its Western Studios and over 50 intellectual properties to Embracer Group for just $300 million. The sale, which is set to go through by September this year, means Embracer owns Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal, as well as IPs including Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, and Legacy of Kain. That amounts to around 1,100 employees. As already announced, a new Tomb Raider is in development at Crystal Dynamics, built on Unreal Engine 5. Thoughts now turn to other games potentially in development as at these just bought studios. Sorry, I had trouble with that one. Let's see. In the notes to the press, Embracer said, quote, "sees an opportunity to invest in these franchises, as well as the additional acquired IP such as Legacy of Kain, Thief, and other original franchises." Let's see. The deal does not include Square Enix's publishers from external studios such as Life is Strange, Just Cause, and Outriders. Outriders, good game. I like that one. So it says the $300 million figure for the deal has raised eyebrows in the context of the huge sums video game companies have sold for recently. Sony bought Bungie and its Destiny franchise for $3.6 billion. Indeed, Embracer bought Borderlands maker Gearbox for up to $1.3 billion. Senior analyst at Nico Partners, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about that? Let's see. Oh, yeah. So in February, Square Enix said Eidos Montreal's generally well-received Guardians of the Galaxy game had, quote, undershot expectations. While Crystal Dynamics' Marvel's Avengers game continues to receive updates, it's widely considered to have been a commercial disaster. Square Enix said the sale to Embracer enables the launch of new businesses by moving forward with investments in fields including blockchain, AI, and the cloud. Whatever. So it's funny, the games that they're keeping, where were they? Right here. So the ones that they're keeping, the one that stuck out to me was Outriders, because Outriders they have a new update coming out, and Outriders is a Destiny-esque game. It's a Destiny clone. It's a good one. I like the game, but they tried to make the Avengers game. They tried to make that a Destiny clone as well, and it fucking failed like crazy. It was broken. So the game technically didn't run well. The sound was off. Matchmaking was fucked up. The servers were not stable, and on top of that, the story was not good. I don't care what anybody says. That story sounded like a fucking turd. And the combat was lame. The tier system, or like the leveling system, like how you leveled up and shit, it was awful. Everything about that game was really, really fucking bad. So, to me, I think this is, I think it's crazy that Embracer Group gets them. I mean, I don't really know Embracer Group at all. So, but and I think if I'm not mistaken, they're like a financial group or whatever, but I just think it's funny because I'm surprised that Microsoft or Sony didn't buy these studios. I mean, to have Crystal Dynamics, who I think is a really, really good studio, the reboot of Tomb Raider, I think is a big success in my opinion. I don't know how well it's sold. I don't remember the numbers, but I know that when those games have come out, they have been really good. I played all three of them. I think they're really well done games and really good Tomb Raider games to boot. They've done well for the IP and sort of even though they sort of changed the theme and the tone a little bit, they're still really good. Deus Ex is not my style of game. I don't like stealth games in first person. I really should give them a try. I really should, because I think I'm missing out on some good games like Dishonored, Thief, Deus Ex. These games have a big following. And they're, from what I understand, they're good games. Deathloop was another one that kind of had basically the same style of gameplay. But Legacy of Kain, I don't know much about that one. But I think that this is, they fucking came up. I mean, they really did. For $300 million, if they, so Deus Ex 1 and 2, so it was like Deus Ex Human Evolution or something like that. And then it was like Deus Ex Mankind Divided or something. I can't remember the titles. There were Deus Ex games, but the second game was really well received. And from what I understand, it was a really, really good game. Just the story, I guess, wasn't as strong, and it ended on like a big cliffhanger. Well, then it got canceled. They just shelved the IP. So if Embracer Group pushes this game to come back out and they make the sequel, or finishes out the trilogy to that game, it's going to sell. People are ready for a game like that. A first person stealth cyberpunk future type game. Yeah, I think that one's huge. Tomb Raider they're already making a fourth game. That's going to sell really well. Thief, I know, was kind of, the reboot of that wasn't that strong, but Legacy of Kain, I don't know shit about that game, but I've listened to a lot of YouTubers talk about it, and that seems to be like, oh my God, Legacy of Kain, let's reboot it, let's get it going, revive that game. So it has a big following. So I don't know. I think this was a weird decision for Square Enix to just sell them off. But to me, I think Square Enix, I think they want to stick to, I think they really want to push the type of games that they can monetize. That's their whole thing. And that's where a lot of companies are going anywhere. I mean, like I said, Sony is heading towards, they want to get into the live service games and expand their portfolio on that side. So, everyone's chasing it, and I get it, but I don't know. I prefer games that have like a story. And again, I love a looter shooter. I love looter shooters. I love Destiny 2, The Division 2, Outriders. I mean, I love those types of games as well. Then those stories, all of them for the most part, well, except Destiny, they really turned it around. But for the most part, looter shooters don't really have strong stories, but the gameplay is fun. Getting on the treadmill, chasing down gear, chasing down loot. That's always fun. That's a very lucrative type of game. So I get it. I really do. I just think Square Enix, what they did with the Marvel game, that was a big fucking mistake. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on here. So Activision is being sued by New York City. This was an Axios article by Steven Tortillo, same guy, I think. Let's see here. So New York City sues Activision, targeting CEO Bobby Kotick. Activision CEO Bobby Kotick rushed to secure a takeover bid from Microsoft to escape liability for misconduct at the company, a new lawsuit from New York City officials alleges. The suit was filed in Delaware on April 26 by New York City employees, retirement system, and pension funds for the city's teachers, police, and firefighters. The groups own Activision stock and believe actions by the gaming giant's management hurt the company's value. The Office of New York City's comptroller shared. That's what it says, comptroller. The Office of New York City's comptroller shared a public version of the suit with Axios on May 3rd. The lawsuit is an action in Delaware's Court of Chancery. Technically, that allows stockholders to press companies to open their books and potentially expose wrongdoing. New York City is demanding Activision provide a long list of documents, including material related to the Microsoft deal, info on 5 possible buyers cited in Activision's official description of the sale talks, board memos, and more. The city has been pressing Activision for internal documents since the fall, originally to find out what CEO Bobby Kotick knew of sexual misconduct at the company. That misconduct had been the subject of lawsuits and news reports since the summer. As laid out in the complaint, New York sought access to Activision's books as a basis to sue Kotick and board members for allegedly costing the company value. It expresses frustration that Kotick, already under fire, headed up rapid negotiations in late 2021 to sell the company to Microsoft. Quote, given Kotick's personal responsibility and liability for Activision's broken workplace, it should have been clear to the board that he was unfit to negotiate a sale of the company, but it wasn't. That's a quote. New York says the Microsoft deal, which is pending regulatory approval, allows Kotick and his fellow directors a means to escape liability for their egregious breaches of fiduciary duty. It also says Microsoft's $95 per share offer undervalues the company, which was traded at close to that before Activision's public scandals began last summer. I look, this doesn't look good for Microsoft. I mean, who gives a fuck about Bobby Kotick, and who gives a fuck about Activision and Blizzard for that matter? You know, they have been under fire for a long time, and Microsoft, and I don't care, I don't care what people say, what I'm about to say. I've seen so many people come to Microsoft's defense. I watch Microsoft's podcasts, or I'm sorry, Xbox podcasts. I enjoy listening to what's going on over there. Even though I don't have an Xbox, I still want to know what's going on because, gaming is, it's my hobby. I like it. And I like to know what's going on with the other two consoles. I have seen lots of comments, and I've listened to people defend Microsoft's decision, and this always gets overlooked. It really does. Like, not completely, but it's like, well, we know Bobby Kotick isn't doing well, and he's going to get fired as soon as the deal's done. He's going to get fired. What the fuck does that mean? Who cares? And that sort of statement is always made as like, see, Microsoft's going to fucking fix it. Uncle Phil's going to come to the rescue, and, he's going to give Bobby Kotick the boot. Yeah, with $150 million in his fucking pocket. That's not really a boot, And I think that it just gets overlooked. Microsoft, they are, how do I say this? What's the word? They're not culpable, because it wasn't like it's them that was, involved with it directly, but they are now indirectly involved, I'm sorry. And they're paying these motherfuckers to walk away with millions of dollars. And why are they doing it? So that they can make billions of dollars. So when people make the statements, and, and like I said, reading comments and shit, I've heard people and seen people say things like, Microsoft is going to clean up the act, and they're going to clean up Activision. They're going to clean up Blizzard, and they're going to set the record straight. And they're going to kick out all the fucking toxic guys, and everything's going to get, and furthermore, I've heard Uncle Phil make the statements of how he's all about equality in the workplace, and everyone should have a voice, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Then why are you paying these fucking supposed creeps? Why are you paying them hundreds of millions of dollars just so you can have their fucking vault of IP? If you care that much, and it's just like, it's like any other like actor, like I was talking about, like Brie Larson and all those other actors, they always love to stand up and virtue signal and talk about how fucking special they are, and how, therefore they're all for the good of mankind, and they're all for the environment, like they're all for the environment, and they fly around private jets. They have, private yachts belting out, these poisonous gases that they fucking love to rail on. They wear clothes. They love animals, but they wear clothes that were, that animals were killed so that they can fucking flaunt a new bag. It's virtue signaling at its finest. And I think that Phil Spencer and Microsoft are doing the exact same thing. I think that they are, when I hear, Phil Spencer make comments about, equal opportunity and equal and safe work environments and shit like that. And, but he's investing in it, and he's doing it simply to make money. And Microsoft and Xbox, they're all in it together. And I think that people need to fucking pay attention to that, because it sucks. I think that, they know they're getting a good deal, and who knows? I mean, if some of this shit turns out to be, maybe it sinks the deal, because if they're undervaluing or overvaluing the stock price or whatever, and they're playing some sort of game so that they can get a good deal, and then Kotick's playing a good game so he can get a bigger golden parachute, and all the, the boards of directors, and, the people who were responsible. And it's not just the people who are actually committing the actions. It's the ones who cover it up. It's the ones who turn a blind eye too. The ones who, knew about the, the Bill Cosby suite, or the Cosby suite, whatever the fuck they called it. They just turned a blind eye. They're responsible too, So I think that this is, I don't think it looks good for Microsoft, but as I've stated before, I think, media runs cover for Microsoft like a motherfucker. They always have. And, and it sucks because, I have some Xbox podcasts that I listen to. And there's some guys that I really like. Like, I really do. Like, I really enjoy their takes. And I think that, 99% of the time they're honest, at least, they're objective as possible with the bias of being an Xbox fan, but they still will criticize or critique Microsoft and their games and their IP. But I just don't hear a lot of Xbox, a lot of Xbox fans and creators out there really looking at this like that. They're looking at it like, oh, this is such a great get for them. Can you imagine? They're going to have Call of Duty, and it's going to be a Microsoft exclusive day one. Oh, that's going to really stick it to Sony. Oh, Diablo 4, that's going to be a Microsoft exclusive. Oh, this is fucking great. And it's like, but at the cost of what? And those same people will write fucking hit pieces on companies and on people like Bobby Kotick and on other companies, and they'll say how this is terrible and this is disgusting, but wow, what a great win for Microsoft. That's great. Uncle Phil's here. So I have a problem with this. I really do. I always have, and whatever, it is what it is. Business is business. Money makes the world go round. But I just think that this just gets overlooked. So, all right, let's move along here. Got a few more to go. So PlayStation VRR update is coming. This is Games Radar, written by Sam Loveridge. Oh, I like your name. Let's see. So let's talk about what... Uh-oh. Come on. Now my article's not loading. Let me see if it comes up here. So I can refresh. Make sure I'm still recording, and I am. Yay. Oh, this is not coming up. That sucks. Let me see if I can go back and then go forward. There we go. All right, there we go. So this is on Games Radar. So I want to talk real quick on pretty much what it is. So because I'm not like super, like when it comes to technical shit, I understand, generally what stuff is. Like I understand like what it's supposed to do, but this kind of it talks a little bit about a little more and a little deeper. So let's see, what does the PS5 VRR update do? So the PS5 I'm going to take a drink on that one. The PS5 VRR update adds support for variable refresh rates, which is a technological term that's becoming incredibly prominent for gamers. VRR is a key feature for ensuring the games you play appear with the smoothest picture possible, without any weird artifacting, weird lines, or other irritating visual oddities. However, it is important to note that you will need a TV that has HDMI 2.1 ports in order to be available to take advantage of the PS5 VRR update, which it says on HDMI 2.1 on HDMI 2.1 compatible TVs and PC monitors, VRR dramatically syncs the refresh rate of the display to the PS5 console's graphical output. This enhances visual performance for PS5 games by minimizing or eliminating visual artifacts such as frame rate pacing issues and screen tearing. Gameplay in many PS5 titles feels smoother as scenes render instantly, graphics look crisper, and input lag is reduced. And that's the key thing, making your games feel smoother to play. So that's really what it is. And I've seen some articles. I don't have a TV that has a 2.1 HDMI, and it just so happens I'm kind of in the market for buying a new TV. The TV we have right now that I love, it's just, in our new home, we have a much longer living room. And so now my 55-inch looks really fucking small. So, I'm actually shopping to see if I'm waiting for prices to kind of come down. Hopefully the holiday sales will come up. But, 2.1 HDMI, that's kind of a must that's one of the things that I need to have. So I really won't know what this really looks like until I get the actual hardware of the TV that can support it. But this does sound good. If you're a PS5 owner and you do have a newer TV and you can, exploit this update, it's going to be, I think it's going to sound really good. Like, I read a little bit. Like I said, I'm not a big technical guru guy, but it's going to make the games refresh faster, so that when you're playing like an online game where input lag is really important, you need to make sure that like when you hit that button, it's like instant, right? And this will help that. And then, and if you're playing a game that are, it's all about like graphical, like the power of the graphics, and the world is, it's got like ray tracing, and, it's really detailed. This will really help it to run smoother. So I'm looking forward to this. It does have a list here of the games that will be supported. In the weeks after the PS5 VRR update drops, the following games have been confirmed to get special VRR patches: Astro's Playroom, Call of Duty Vanguard, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Deathloop, Destiny 2, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Dirt 5, Godfall, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, and Tribes of Midgard. So this is cool. I'm looking forward to this. We'll see what happens, see if it makes a really big difference. But these are the types of things that I look forward to when it comes to, new consoles, because, let's face it, at the beginning of every console cycle, and I think I've touched on this before, the first year of games on any new console, it's usually slim pickings, and they definitely don't push the hardware to its full potential. They just never do, because they haven't had the hardware long enough. When I say developers haven't had the hardware long enough to actually utilize all of the tools of the new hardware. That's just how it always goes with console generations. So this is one of those things. These types of little upgrades have been more prevalent in the last generation's console, and now with this console, because the new Xbox and the new PlayStation 5, they're fucking powerful machines. I know, PC gamers, I know it's PC master race. I get it. You want the best of the best when it comes to graphics and sound. Go out and spend fucking $3,000 and buy the baddest fucking, RTX 3080, get the sweetest motherboard, get the baddest fucking monitor. And yes, it will leave a PS5 and Xbox Series X in the dust. No question about that. But for console players, these types of things are a big deal, because to me, I think that the graphics that I'm seeing on a PS5 right now, I think we're really getting to that point where we have reached a new high. Now, I think the iteration from last generation to this generation really hasn't shown itself yet, outside of the SSD, because the solid state drive has definitely changed the way games load and that type of shit, which is awesome. But in terms of getting the full potential out of the hardware, we haven't even got there yet. So I can't wait. So year 2, year 3, we're going to start seeing the real deal. We're going to start seeing the real power of these consoles. I'm looking forward to it, because I've said before, I'm a big graphics guy. I won't deny it. I love pretty screens. I love, pretty environments. I'm all about that shit. All right, move along to the next one here. Starfield leaks from a developer. This was a gamer rant written by Joshua Duckworth. So this one, I'm not going to really get into this too much, and here's why. So there's a guy who I like. He hosts an Xbox podcast called Defining Duke, and his name's I call him Matty, but his channel, he has his own channel called Mr. Matty Plays, and I recommend checking out his channel if you like Xbox games. If you have an Xbox, you want to know the latest and greatest, this is a good channel to check out. For sure. He broke down a good video, and I'm going to try to, the videos that I reference in this podcast, I want to link in the descriptions. I'll start doing that so you guys can check out these guys' channels, because it's the stuff that I watch. He really broke down the leaks in this one video, and it was like my fucking head was spinning, because he is more of like on the reporter side. So he has insiders, he has, he can reach out to people, and he has direct connections to the sources. And I couldn't really discern what is 100% true and what is not. These are leaks that some of it sounds like it's real, some of it sounds like it's bullshit. And he really breaks it down. So I recommend going and check him out. It's called, his name's Mr. Mighty Plays, and I don't remember the name of the video, but it's one of his more recent ones. And I'll link it in the description. So, but this was an article on Gamer Rant written by Joshua Duckworth. Former Bethesda employee leaks Starfield details. A verified former Bethesda game studio employee leaks a few minute details about Starfield, including its current state of development. So Starfield is this new game that's coming out, new IP by Bethesda. You know how I feel about Bethesda. You know how I feel about Todd Howard. I don't really have a lot of belief in the guy. I think he's full of shit. I think he's a marketing guy. He loves to just fucking talk, and he's a bullshitter. Now I don't know if this game is going to be good or bad, but based on Bethesda's history, I don't expect this game to be finished when it comes out. And furthermore, I still stick to my guns. I still think this game will be delayed. That's just what I think. You know, they're playing a lot of cards close to the vest, and that's fine. You know, I'm all for, you know, just drip feeding information. You know, keep your fans hungry for the game. Don't overshow, don't oversell, don't be a Ubisoft. And I'm all for that. And I don't think I don't think Bethesda or Xbox for that matter is making a mistake by not showing too much. I think that's the good thing. But the game is coming out in a few months. So we're already in May. So June, July, August, September, October, November. So it's 4 or 5 months away, because I don't even know, there's not an exact release date yet. So I still think that this game's going to be delayed. I just do. I don't know. It's just a feeling. Again, and I'm not saying that they're shit and that this game is going to suck, because I don't know. But this is a big deal for Microsoft and Xbox. This game's got to hit. It's got to hit. There's no getting around that. They really need to solidify themselves and get a game in this generation that is a holy shit. You must buy an Xbox. You must get Game Pass to play this game. I don't think they have done that yet, and I think that they could do this. This could be the one right here. So let's get into this article real quick. Starfield was first announced at E3 2018, and after years, it is now set to release this November. Oh, there was November. So what? June, July, August, September, October, November. So 6 months. So they still have some time. They still have plenty of time to reveal some shit. So despite this, nothing concrete is really known about Starfield outside a few developer commentaries, which, whatever. It is expected that news will pick up over the summer, and Bethesda probably won't show its hand until it's ready. After all, it's the first new Bethesda IP in several years, so fans are clearly invested. There have been a few screenshots and other details leaked about Starfield in that time. Even the most solid ones, though, are somewhat questionable. The latest and least comes from a way of Recetera user Heavy008. Who is verified as a former Bethesda employee, he's a character artist, by the site's admins. It should still be taken with a grain of salt, but it could be pretty good. It could be a pretty good look into the state and development of Starfield. Let's see. Starfield video explains companion. I'm sorry. That's not what I was looking at. Here we go. So responding to the questions of another user, Heavy08, so I think it's Heavy 00, but I think it's like Heavy 08, praises Bethesda Game Studios as a cool, solid place to work, says Todd Howard is a charismatic guy, and proceeds to provide a few fine details for Starfield. The user criticizes its flight mechanics and describes its engine as a piece of crap. Sorry, I forgot it said that. I wasn't ready when I read that. Sorry. He describes the engine as a piece of crap. That's a quote. But the rest is largely positive. According to Heavy08, let's see here. There have been weekly playtesting of Starfield every Thursday since the beginning of the year, and they say the shooting feels all right. They criticize the flight mechanics, presumably of Starfield's spaceships, as not fun to them. Graphics and lighting-wise, they say Starfield has improved a lot and says it's a good-looking game, if not on Horizon Forbidden West level. That's not a good thing. Perhaps one of the biggest questions asked of the user is whether or not Starfield will make its release date. Given the little information out there, as well as the fact that its release date was announced last year, it's an understandable concern. Heavy08 says they will certainly try since it's a quote sexy date, and will like and will like cut content if it has to. I don't like when they do that. And will like cut content if it has to. That's not really a concern, it seems, as Heavy 08 says Starfield has an abundance of content that is, quote, probably too much, end quote. It appears that the main goals right now are bug fixes and, quote, finding the fun. That's not good, end quote. All of this tracks and lines up, especially since Bethesda has reiterated a few times that it is confident in the Starfield and its plans for it. Of course, there is a possibility that some of this is not entirely accurate, but this information does seem to come from someone who worked at Bethesda for a long time. At least Bethesda decides to reveal more Starfield news itself. It'll have to do. So I'm sorry, at least until they do, this will have to do. So there's one thing that I want to say that this guy didn't cover, but I have seen this. This guy broke his NDA. And that's not cool. Non-disclosure agreements are common in the industry. They're common in business in general. If you're dealing with anything that's sort of that's IP or proprietary, it protects the business, the company or whatever, and it protects the IP and the integrity of the IP for it to have its employees not out, spitting comments like this, giving interviews, even if they're positive, you still don't want to give away the secrets, right? So if this guy broke his NDA, and there was some other stuff from, like I said, from that other video, and I've seen a couple of videos on this. So apparently this guy has deleted all of his stuff, like his Twitter and everything. So he's trying to wipe out the shit that he said, which to me kind of lends to that that's probably true, because he probably knows he's in trouble, legally. Like, you can't do that. You can't break an NDA. So I don't think that's cool. I don't think this guy's cool for doing it. Keep your fucking trap shut, and it's going to be hard for him to get a job now. That's for sure. But I think that I put a little bit of stock in this because of that, but I don't think this is like 100% true. Like, oh, yep, this is what's happening. However, for just a moment here, let's talk about if this is true. As I've said before, I think Bethesda games are buggy and they don't seem to come out finished. When I hear things like the flight controls feel like crap, and then I like the engine is a piece of crap, it's possible, it's possible, and that's not good. They have 6 months to clean it up. Like, let's say that is a thing, but there's a couple of quotes here. One where it says that Starfield has an abundance of content that is, quote, probably too much, end quote. That's not a good thing. I've heard, and it's funny because it's all about who you're listening to, because, when you're talking about a Ubisoft game that has a ton of content, they catch a lot of shit. It's like, oh, it's bloated, it's overblown, and oh, it's the same shit over and over, and oh, they just it's inflated, and this isn't good, and they don't have, the game doesn't feel, concise, and it's just all this filler. But then Bethesda does it, or some other company, and it's like, oh, that's great, it's so good, it's endless amounts of content, it's amazing. And what game, wouldn't want to be like this? And I wish every game was like that. So, those types of opinions, they always usually have some sort of subjective bias behind them. But I do think that is the thing. I think that having a game that is bloated and it's too big can be a problem, and not just for the fact that it takes too long to play it all or whatever. Look at The Witcher. The Witcher is a great example. It's like 200 plus hours of content for like all the side quests, the main story. That's a lot of fucking time, okay? But it gets a lot of praise for that. It's like, oh, that's so amazing because all the content's so strong and everything, the writing's so amazing. Okay, but the combat I think is boring. I think combat's fucking kind of lame. I played it and it's like it's the same shit over and over. So there is some things that get overlooked because of quality writing or whatever. My point is it's all about context and, who is actually doing the review and who is giving you their opinion. I think that a game can have too much of something. And I also think that if it's done really well, the more the merrier. If it's a fucking kick-ass game, playing those side quests in Witcher is really fun because they really are good content. It's good writing, good characters and things like that. Things catch you by surprise. But for me, the combat's kind of boring. So that kind of is it kind of brings it down some to me. Ubisoft's, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that they got tons of shit for that. Oh, it's too big and it's so bloated and all this other shit. I loved it because I really enjoyed the combat. I really enjoyed the sea work. I'm sorry, the sea fighting and stuff like that when you're on your ship. I enjoyed traveling to different, areas on the map and sort of they did a really good job of like kind of like different biomes in a way, like mountainous black rocks and flat deserts and white sandy deserts and, lush islands like Nassau and stuff like that, like looking like Nassau. I'm not saying it was in it, but, to me, I really enjoyed that. So, it really, like I said, it's all subjective. The other thing about this that, when it says they're bug fixing and quote finding the fun, that doesn't track well with, and it's too bloated. That makes me wonder if this game is just out of focus and it's just so it's going in so many different directions that it will feel like, it will feel convoluted and muddy, and that's never a good thing. Having said that, like I said before when I started this all could be bullshit. This guy could be totally full of shit, but it kind of sounds like it's not. So, but I'm not taking this as like, oh yeah, this game's going to fucking suck. But, it could. Things could not be all roses over there. And also, the ship flying and stuff, they're saying that it runs like crap. I think Fallout shooting is fucking crap. I think it sucks. I think without the VAT system, that is one of the worst shooters you can play. But that's just me. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's move along here. So the next thing we got here. So the Xbox Showcase is officially scheduled for June 12th. All right, let's see. I don't know if I haven't. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is on Xbox's website. So it says, join us Sunday, June 12th for the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. That's kind of interesting, because if I'm not mistaken, they scheduled this for the same weekend that E3 typically is on. And that's kind of a bummer, for me, just because I'm a big fan of E3. I've said that before. E3 is a really fun, for a gamer, it's a really fun week. You get all the new game trailers, new release dates, a lot of, surprise moments where game might, they might shadow drop a game, that week or something. It's always fun. It's exciting for gamers. But it says, let's see. Today we are excited to announce that the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase will stream on Sunday, June 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. This show will feature amazing titles coming from Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, and our partners around the world. The Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase will include everything you need to know about the diverse lineup of games coming soon to the Xbox ecosystem, including upcoming games to release to Game Pass on Xbox and PC. Let's see. The Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase will be streamed on a variety of outlets in over 30 languages. You can choose where you want to tune in from, and it has YouTube, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. We'll see you on Sunday, June 12th. So this is great news for Xbox fans. You guys are lucky. I'm jealous. I'm not even going to lie. I am jealous because Sony hasn't announced anything like that. There's no showcase coming. There's no what'd they call it? What'd they call their thing? God, what was it called for the life of me? I know they do state of plays, but they had a show that they did themselves. It was the PlayStation Experience. I think that's what it's called. They haven't announced anything like that. Excuse me. They haven't announced anything like that. I don't know what that was. And it sucks. I'm bummed because it's fun. Like, this is what gamers want. And Xbox, they're giving their community what they want. And so this is exciting for them, and it just reminds me more and more that E3 not being here this year sucks. And, they said it's going to come back next year. What does that look like? Who knows? I mean, we may never see an E3 proper again. Now, I say may because I don't like to say never and always, but E3 was struggling and was, they were making so many changes to the format that I liked, and there were things I didn't like. And then Nintendo pulled out, PlayStation pulled out. So I just, I'm just kind of bummed, but good for Xbox. I think this is really fun for them and Xbox, you gamers out there, you guys are lucky, and I'm going to be watching this. I can't wait. And there was some questions and stuff, some of the podcasts that I listened to, should Sony respond? Should they be, countering to this? I think that they will, and this is why. Sony loves to counterpunch. That's what they do, and they're really good at it. They have made a meal out of E3s and kind of, slapping Xbox around for a few years now. It started with the Xbox One release and the game sharing video, and the pricing drop and just all kinds of shit. The way they handled the PS4 release versus Xbox, Sony they have been on the counteroffensive ever since, and it's worked for them. And I think that Microsoft, I think they're in more of a must-win sort of situation where, and this is good. I'm not saying this is an act of desperation at all. I just think that they really need to get back into this race, and they're doing good. I'm not saying they're doing bad, but Sony right now, they're just in the lead, and you can't deny that. I don't give a shit what any commenter says. I've read so many comments, especially about this next topic I want to get into before we wrap up. I think that Microsoft is in a good position right now. I don't think they're in as good a position as their fans say that they are. And this showcase with Bethesda, this could really elevate them. This could really give them the mind share that they so desperately need right now. They really do. They need the Xbox and Game Pass to feel like a must-have. And I don't think they've done that yet. And Xbox commenters always come out with like, oh, it's such a fucking, it's not even close. The value's all there. You're just a hater, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm sorry. There's nothing on Game Pass that I got to play. There's just nothing on there. There's games that I want to play. There's nothing I need to play. This could change. If Starfield comes out and it's a fucking banger, which it very well could be, you don't think I'm not going to get a Game Pass for that? You bet your sweet ass I will. I might even get an Xbox S for it. Who knows? I might even get an X. But, I'm just saying that this is great for them. It's really good for them. But I also think that they really need it to be good. This cannot be another E3 thing for them. They can't just come out here and do a regular sort of parading out the developer to come out and talk about and use buzzwords like experience and magical and gamer and advances and advancements and technological power and the most powerful console. They can't come out and do that shit. And that's what their E3s have been. They've been sticking to the same old sort of, bring out the developer or bring out some guest and then have them say a bunch of fucking buzzwords and then and now let's go to the clip. And then they go to some fucking trailer and the trailer's cool or not cool or whatever. And then they come back and then it's like, then the next person's standing there and they're like, wow, can you believe it? Man, I am really excited to play blah, blah, blah. It's like, and it's so fucking forced. It's so poorly written. These guys are developers. They're not actors. Stop trying to fucking act. I think that they should be less on the stage, yapping and talking, and just show the fucking trailers. And that's what Sony was doing to them since was it 2015 or 2016? Since those few E3s that they had before they pulled out, they were just like, kick back and enjoy the show. Like it was a fucking show and really good ones. So I think that Xbox needs to do that. And I think they're gonna. I think they have all of the eyes will be on them. Everything is going to be about them. So if they're smart, they're going to tighten it up. They're going to keep it 90 minutes. They're going to keep it clean and they're going to show a lot of fucking gameplay and a lot of fucking trailers and release dates, and that will be huge for them, huge, huge, huge. So and I think they need to. I think they will, but I think they really need to. Going back to Sony and them counterpunching, I think Sony, if I had to guess, I would, if I'm a betting man, I would say they're going to wait until after it, and then they're going to come out and announce something, or they're going to announce it the day before the show, the week before the show, just to sort of take the buzz off, just a little bit. And then we already know that Sony is willing to put the money down to fucking, do a really serious conference, like an E3 style press conference. We already know they're willing to do it, and we know that they can do it, that they have the people, they have the resources to put together a fucking colossal, clean conference. And I think they will. There was some questions about, do they need to? You know what? I think there's an argument to be made that they don't need to necessarily, but if Xbox comes out and fucking kills it, then they will need to, So right now as it stands, no, they don't need to. They don't need to announce anything right now. They're doing just fine. However, if Xbox kills it, and do you want to be scrambling to fucking, try to get something thrown together and put together like a 30-minute little state of play that fucking, the state of plays to me are not that big of a deal. I think they're kind of lame in my opinion. They need to do like a real fucking conference. I think they should. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm not going to say that they need to do it, but I sure as fuck don't want to see them just rest on their laurels. They're winning. They have, when I say winning, they're selling more consoles than Xboxes overall. And you want to maintain that number one spot. You got to keep going, put the pedal to the metal. Don't fucking let up. Don't go to a fucking prevent defense, in the fucking fourth quarter. Like, no, blitz, push them, get in there. Don't let Microsoft breathe if they're smart, but we'll see what happens. So, more drink here. All right. So let's talk about this last one here. Xbox outsells the PS5 for the second straight month. So, this to me, I've listened to a couple of podcasts about this one, and oh boy, I don't want to sound like I'm like trying to shit on their success, because I really don't want to do that. But there are some factors that I think people are overlooking, and I think they're intentionally overlooking them. And I've watched multiple videos, Xbox videos and Sony videos or PlayStation videos, and listening to the commenters, there's this tone of like, Sony fans are afraid. They're shaking their boots because Microsoft is coming, because they owned 2021. And Sony has fumbled this year. The Horizon Forbidden West got blanked by Elden Ring, and Gran Turismo got blanked by microtransactions. And they're terrible. And I've actually seen this multiple times, that Gran Turismo came out and bombed, or Gran Turismo came out and sucked because of the microtransactions. No, it didn't. Gran Turismo is a game that will last for a really, really long time, and it will continue to sell for a really long time. It just is. It's a racing sim that is, it's not just about gamers. There are it's like a sport for a lot of people. There's a huge community of, sim racers who this is what they do, and there's plenty of people who actually race real fucking cars who play the shit out of this type of game. They love them. So, I think Gran Turismo is going to do just fine. And furthermore, Sony corrected the mistakes that they made. Polyphony corrected the mistakes that they made. So all is well. I don't know why that's still a thing, but I've seen lots of comments about it. And as far as Horizon Forbidden West, I'm not going to defend the shit out of that game. Like I said, I have my issues with that game as it is. And yeah, it sucks that Elden Ring was right next to it, because, and that was a mistake. That was a misstep. They should have released that game 3 weeks before, I think, or a month. Give that game a full 3 or 4 weeks of just owning the headlines, and then you can disappear into the shadows and let Elden Ring take over. But in terms of this year, like Microsoft killing Xbox or killing Sony and them owning last year, I mean, they had a couple of releases, but you know, Halo, there's a cloud over Halo right now. You know, they've lost players. They're bleeding players right now. You know, their battle pass shit, they're struggling. You know, the game, my understanding is, you know, they're having some problems with just online play in general, you know. But I will say that this is good for Xbox fans, that to see that their console is outselling PS5 for two months straight. That's not nothing small. I mean, that's a good thing, and good for Xbox and good for Microsoft and the whole organization. That there's other factors. I think there's mitigating factors that are just sort of being lost. The first one is the chip shortage. I think the chip shortage as a whole economically is bullshit. That's just my personal opinion. I think shortages in general, this is all bullshit. That's just me. So I could give a fuck less about that. But it's still a thing. You know, it's still a thing. It still really does impact the sales. There have been rumors about Xbox has paid for priority because they share a lot of the same chips, my understanding. And so Xbox has paid in advance to prioritize their chipsets being sold, or them getting their chipsets before Sony. I don't know if that's true. But I've heard it a lot. I have heard that a lot. Now, I'm not going to say that that's true, but it is something that's on the radar for me, because that's a factor, is it not? I mean, if that's really true, that's a factor. You can't say it's not. You know, and is it also on Sony for not fucking forking over the cash? Because if it was just a money thing, then Sony, then pull out the old fucking pocketbook. Let's go. You know, that's on them as well. You know, the other thing too that I think is the most important factor that is getting overlooked is the fact that Microsoft, their numbers, they have two SKUs that they are using to get these numbers. They have an Xbox Series S and an Xbox Series X. They are not the same machine. And I have seen people say that they are. Like, oh, they're the same thing. It's literally the same thing. It's just like Sony. Sony has a digital and a disc version. So that's not a good argument. That's not true. The PlayStation 5 disc version and the PlayStation 5 digital version is the exact same console. Outside of the hardware that one runs a disc and one does not, they're the same fucking console. The Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S are not the same console. They have different hardware. One is stronger than the other. The Xbox Series X is, quote, the most powerful console that you can buy. Okay? That is something that I think is just completely overlooked, you know? And it's the way I see people wording it, they're not even discussing that. You know, when I listen to creators and I listen to, you know, and I read commenters, they absolutely just fucking ignore that completely. They're like, oh, whatever. You're just hating. Oh, you're just Sony pony. You're just jealous. It's like, no, I'm just merely pointing out a fact. And I've seen people just say that, like, well, there are two SKUs here, so let's not forget that. Oh, you're fucking just jealous. Oh, we found the Sony fanboy. We found the troll. We found the Xbox hater. And it's like, and I'm talking just comment. People just dogpiling. And it's like, people just don't want to hear the truth. Like, that's just the truth. That's not hyperbole. That's not a salacious headline. That's not some CNN fucking fake news line. That's a real thing. I think it's worth noting. Okay, that's really all there is to it. That's all I'm saying. So there are factors that go into these sales, the Xbox sales versus the PlayStation sales. The other thing too, and I commented on a video that I was on a live stream that I was watching, and I said, you know, I think the real number that would tell the true story isn't who's winning month to month, it's who's winning overall, because that's where it matters. In the end, that's all that matters. That's all anybody gives a fuck about. they could win 5 months in a row and still not outsell more more Xboxes than PlayStation sells PlayStations. Like that can happen. So in the I was reading a live chat, and I was just kind of paying attention after I asked him my question, and people were saying it's like 14.4 million Xboxes versus 21 million PlayStations. I think it was the number. It's like 20 or 21. That's a pretty big difference. Okay. Let's say it's 14 to 21. That's 7 million more Sony PlayStations being sold. That's a significant difference. And if the shoe was on the other foot, you best fucking believe that Xbox will be parading those numbers out day in and day out. We hit 19 million, we hit 20 million, we hit 21 million. And every console does that. PlayStation has been guilty of that. When PlayStation 3 was struggling, they fucking they weren't talking about how many consoles they were selling because they wanted to hide that number. In the end, they pipped them at the finish line because they sold PlayStation sold more PlayStation 3s than Xbox 360s in to date. So, but it didn't matter. Xbox started out in front, and by the time PlayStation caught up, the fucking cycle was over, and we're moving on to PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones. But I do think that overall sales matter. There was one other thing that I was trying to think of. What was it? Oh goodness, I had it right on the top of my mind. I was just thinking about it. Having the total, let's see, what was it? It was the total amount of sales. Oh, there's something else. I hate when I do that. It's starting to get late, and I'm starting to get a little fuzzy in my head. But anyways, I do think that, I think that what Xbox is doing is a good thing. That was the other thing. That's what it was. When this information came out, when the news came out that Xbox had outsold, I went online and I was like, okay, I'm going to see something. I want to see if I can buy an Xbox right now, and an Xbox X, Series X, and if I can buy a PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5s that I found, and I looked, I only found them available through Walmart, and there was another, not eBay, not Scalper. It was, who was it? I don't think it was Target. It was somebody else. No, it wasn't Best Buy. It might have been Target. But anyways, Walmart was one of the ones that I could actually buy one. And the price for a fucking PlayStation 5 for a disc version was over $700. That's fucking crazy. And I saw like PlayStation controller, and I think a game, and it was over $700. It's like $720. That's fucking crazy. And I don't know what's going on there. Like I said, I was like, what? And I didn't want to like put it in my cart and accidentally fucking buy another PlayStation, because I ain't trying to fucking, I don't have that kind of money I can just throw away. But on top of that, I went and looked at an Xbox, and I can get an Xbox for like $600, like an Xbox and controller and everything. And I was, they were available. They were readily available. I could easily grab an Xbox right now. An Xbox Series S, they're everywhere. I looked at Best Buy, I looked at Target, I looked at Walmart. Who else? There was another place I looked at. Was it GameStop? But it was like, available in your area, shipped to your store, shipped to your home. So the Xboxes are more available. So that's another factor. You have to take that into account. It's easier and it's cheaper to buy an Xbox right now than it is a PlayStation 5. So, and it even got me thinking, like legit, like for real. I was looking, I'm like, I can grab an Xbox S like right now, and it was only like $400 or something. I was like, well, that's not that bad. And like, maybe I'll get one, and that's the mindset, right? Like just the price alone pulled me into the thought of like, maybe I should ask Normie wife, can I buy a console? But, I was like, no, I don't want to buy another console right now. I'll eventually probably end up getting one for sure. But I was like, no, not right now. I don't really need one. There's no games right now. But if Starfield is really fucking good, if, what's the other one I was just thinking of? Skyrim. If the sequel to Skyrim is really fucking good, yeah, I'll be buying one of those consoles for sure. So, like, and I've said this before, software sells the hardware. But there's just there are factors that I think are being completely overlooked. And it's not me being a fanboy. Everything that I've said to you it's not a lie. It's true. These are true things. And when I hear Xbox fans, and I hear, Xbox podcasts and stuff, and they talk about it, they're like, oh, here they go, they're doing really good, and this is such a great thing, and they're making a comeback, and, they need to just pedal to the metal and all this other stuff, but they just overlook all the stuff that I just talked about. And I think that I think it's just a little disingenuous. I don't think they're lying, but I think it's a little disingenuous, and I think it's running a little bit of cover. That's just my opinion. So, but, good for them. Good for Xbox. Good for them for dethroning PlayStation 2 months in a row. That's great. Good for them. Switch is out there doing their thing too. So Nintendo's still, banging away, especially since they got that new OLED Switch. So, but yeah, good for them. And I'm going to keep an eye on that one. I actually want to start looking at MPD numbers. I want to start seeing the top games that have sold. I want to go over that stuff. I want to start covering that stuff. But all right, so I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I want to say thank you for taking the time. Please like, share, and subscribe. Once again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We love you. We wouldn't be here without you. So you have a great week, and I will talk to you next weekend. Bye.